My name is Phuong Tang, and I am an intern at the ASEAN Foundation. Once again, I am more than honored to be the master of ceremony for the online safety webinar today. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all aspects of our lives. With lockdowns being imposed, it is only natural that many young people in ASEAN are spending much more time online than ever before. The internet helps young people to explore their interests, learn, and create. However, it can also leave them vulnerable to various online risks, such as cyberbullying, misinformation, privacy breach, and online sexual exploitation. To make sure young people in ASEAN have the knowledge and the tools to make smart and responsible decisions online, Google, together with the ASEAN Foundation, will hold a monthly talk series on the topic of online safety, starting from November 2020 to February 2021. This initiative is designed to help make sure youth's online experiences are safe and positive during COVID-19. The series was officially launched last month on November 16th with the first episode titled Digital Footprint and Cyberbullying. To continue its success, the ASEAN Foundation and Google are proud to deliver the second webinar themed Misinformation, Don't Fall for Fake. As indicated in the name, today's webinar focuses on discussing the issue of online false information and phishing, and how you can protect yourself and others from falling for internet lies and scams. Before we begin, to ensure everyone has a good experience, there are a few housekeeping matters that I would like to share with all of you. First of all, this event will be recorded and live streamed on the ASEAN Foundation's YouTube channel. Secondly, to the attendees, we encourage you to ask questions to our panelists. Please write them in the comment box. I will collect your questions and relay it to the moderator. Last but not least, as this webinar is chat-based, your microphones are automatically muted. That is all. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to have Mr. Ryan Rahajo, Google's Head of Public Affairs in Southeast Asia, to deliver the first opening remark. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rahajo to the screen.
Thank you, Phuong. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Raharjo, Head of Public Affairs for Southeast Asia at Google Asia Pacific. Welcome to our online safety webinar series for youth that we organize in partnership with the ASEAN Foundation. I would like to also recognize the presence and extend a special welcome to His Excellency Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN for ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, Mr. Kong Fook, Dr. Yang, Executive Director of the ASEAN Foundation, Mr. Zhang from UNESCO, and all of you, the future leaders of ASEAN. Thank you for making the time to join today's webinar. This is the second webinar that Google and ASEAN Foundation organized. Last month, we had an opportunity to discuss two key issues, namely cyberbullying and also like digital footprint. And we also shared with everyone steps we should take once you are experiencing those issues. And today, we'll be sharing with you the best way to tackle phishing and how to evaluate source credibility under the theme, Do Not Fall for Fake. One of the benefits of technology is its ability to create new opportunities and channels for learning. It also helps everyone explore their interests and also like be creative. At Google, we understand technology's great potential, and we continue investing in digital literacy initiatives and programs to encourage everyone, you, to take advantage of the many positive opportunities that technology has to offer. For over 2 decades, we've been building platforms to help users access, create, and also like share information, while at the same time providing them with more opportunities and options from various information sources. At the same time, we're also aware of the vulnerabilities arising from this openness, and we're committed to carrying out our responsibilities to properly manage content on our platforms. The challenges are growing and evolving, but we will uphold our duty to combat illegal content, such as disinformation and misinformation. We take this matter very seriously and focus on displaying high-quality content from authoritative sources, while also protecting users from mis and disinformation. In times of COVID-19 crisis, for example, we're focused on surfacing trusted information and partnering with health organizations and governments to bring our users authoritative information in a rapidly changing environment, and empowering users with tools and trainings to spot mis and disinformation. Our teams around the world work to protect all users at all times, and we're also dedicated to solving these issues through collaboration with the media, citizens, government, of course, and civil societies like ASEAN Foundation. Combating mis and disinformation and hate speech continue to be important challenges, and everyone plays an important role in this endeavor. My colleagues, Lucian, will be able to share with you the tools to recognize the signs of phishing attempts and how to evaluate source credibility, including to spot mis and disinformation. To the Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Kung Fok, and ASEAN Foundation team, and also like our friends from UNESCO, thank you for all your support and this valued partnership. And to all participants, thank you once again for joining the second webinar. As mentioned previously, we will be running a webinar every month leading up to Safer Internet Day in February 2021. So please stay tuned and join when you can. I hope through this initiative, you will be able to gain the skills you need to build online resilience and execute sensible judgment so that you have a positive, safe, and enjoyable experience online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Raharjo, for your wonderful message. Next, may I have the honor to invite the Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN for ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, His Excellency Kung Fok, to give his opening remark. Please give His Excellency a warm welcome.
Thank you very much, Fu, and also a pleasant afternoon to everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you here today for the online safety webinar series, focusing on misinformation and fall for fake. Internet and digital technology have changed the patterns of our communications and information consumption behaviors. They've become an indispensable part of everyday life for people all over the world. 59% of the global population is now connected to the internet. The rate is higher in ASEAN, with 66% of the region populations plugged online. So this number has multiplied during the COVID-19 pandemic. 40 million ASEAN citizens have become new internet users in 2020 alone. The influence of internet and digital technology has brought on profound changes, especially for our young people, particularly our millennials who are the active digital natives. Internet has become their source of leisure, socialization, creativity, and also opened up greater opportunity for education and employment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, social restrictions and lockdowns have led to the closure of many amenities, including schools. As a result, we see the pivot toward digital adoption in multiple aspects of daily life as educational and leisure activities shifted online. Younger children may have been exposed to the internet much earlier in order to access online learning. So digital technology is very helpful, but at the same time, it can also be very harmful. The rise of fake news and misinformation is a key challenge that comes with the growth of internet dependencies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, fake news and misinformation have spread as rapidly as the virus itself. For example, fake news spanning claims of preventive remedies and bogus cure to COVID-19 downplays the risk of the pandemic. If left unchecked, the spread of fake news and misinformation creates a climate of distrust, intolerance, fear, and discriminations. These white noises of untruths also hamper the real efforts of reaching out to people with reliable and timely information, undermine effective preparedness, resiliency, and responsiveness of governments, organizations, and individuals to respond to fear and fake news properly. Again, this backdrop, it is therefore crucial that young people and the communities in the ASEAN region are well equipped with the ability to discern facts from falsehoods. ASEAN has been taking steps to address the challenges of fake news and misinformation. For example, in 2017, the ASEAN Minister responsible for information convened a roundtable discussions on fake news and communicating the right information, which is followed by the adoption of the framework and joint declaration to minimize the harmful effects of fake news in 2018. That year, ASEAN also unveiled the core values on digital literacy for ASEAN to strengthen media resiliencies and to better educate the public to become digitally responsible. More recently, ASEAN has adopted a joint statement to minimize the negative effects of COVID-19 It stresses the important role of the media and information sector to enhance effective public communication, counter fake news and misinformation, and support the free flow of accurate and timely information during this challenging time. The implementation of this webinar by the ASEAN Foundation contribute to our existing regional efforts, and the promotion of digital literacy will be useful to tackle the spread of misinformation and fake news. I'm delighted to see the strong collaboration between the ASEAN Foundation and Google to educate young communities with the knowledge and digital literacy skills to navigate the cyberspace safely. Our young citizens are catalysts for change. They are not only the receiver but also the co-creators of media and information contents. I hope that our participant will benefit from the sharing of today's webinar and apply it to the everyday use of the internet so as to promote greater cyber well-being for themselves and also for the communities. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your inspiring remark. Now, since we're going to take pictures of today's event, I would like to ask everyone to turn on the cameras. My lovely colleague, Ms. Ayu, will lead this session. It appears Ms. Ayu is having some difficulty. Please wait.
I'm sorry. I will leave the session, the photo session, so you will hear my cue and you can pause afterwards. Okay. So, everybody, if you're willing, please turn on your camera. Thank you very much. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1 second. One more time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Yona. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we officially begin the webinar. In the next 40 minutes, our panelists will take turns giving their presentation on the topic of online misinformation and phishing. This session will be moderated by Tashri Mashkan. She is a former intern at the ASEAN Foundation and is now currently an ASEAN Human Rights Policy Researcher at Greenpeace Southeast Asia. Ms. Tashri, I would like to invite you to the screen.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well. It's good to be back with the ASEAN Foundation. Thank you, Fong, for introducing me. And we're very pleased to have two presenters today. The first one being a communication specialist from the UNESCO Regional Office in Bangkok. I will quickly introduce him and let him take the floor. So please, Zhang Rohan, you may have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear and see me? Well, hello everyone. My name is Zhang Han. I'm from the Communication and Information Unit of UNESCO Bangkok office. So let me share my slides with you. Can everyone see? Okay, so hello everyone. Today I'm very happy to be here and provide my presentation on ASEAN youth in the current misinformation epidemic. So in today's presentation, I'm going to share with you some true information about how to define misinformation. Why does UNESCO regard media and information literacy as the essential capability of youth in the digital era? And how can young people in ASEAN countries tackle misinformation? But before we get to the point of misinformation, I like to refer to another word that we may hear more frequently in recent years, which is fake news. Well, fake news is the term for false or misleading information posing as news.
I'm sorry, Rohan, sorry, just to stop you there. I don't think your slides are visible.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
oh.
Sorry about that. Can you just, yeah.
On the bottom right of your browser, there should be a present now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can everyone see now?
Yes, it's coming up.
Oh, sorry for that.
No worries. Please continue.
Okay, so now you can see my slides with Donald Trump, right? Okay, so fake news is the term for false or misleading information posing as news. Actually, this word was created long time ago, but it was popularized by Donald Trump during his 2016 election. This term is a joint name in oil language for misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. But since nowadays, it has become an emotionally charged weapon for attacking journalists and political opponents. Most media specialists try not to use it in their official discussion and debate. So, how can we distinguish misinformation with disinformation and malinformation? Today, I have some examples so we can have a brief look together. So, let's see this example. When political competitors purposely release false statistics about their opponents to discredit them. So, in this case, we call the false statistics disinformation. So first, the information is false. And secondly, the person who is sharing it knows it is false, but still using it to harm a person, social group, organization, or country. And the next example is that when someone releases private emails and photos of a politician to the public in order to cause harm to his or her campaign. In this case, the private emails and photos of this politician are true, but they are used to harm a person, organization, or country to incite harassment and hate speech on this person's private life, his or her reputation or personalities, not for the public interest. So we call it malinformation. And finally, let's see misinformation. Misinformation means that the information is false, but the person who is sharing it believes it is true. This is the kind of information that we mostly share with people around us. So sometimes we're not sure if it's true or not, but we just share it. And there are so many examples of misinformation that we've seen in our daily life, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic this time. For example, like some people say that 5G mobile networks can spread COVID-19, or cold weather and snow will kill the coronavirus, or drinking alcohol or bleach will prevent or cure COVID-19. So for most of us, some rumors sounds totally unbelievable, but they are actually believed and shared by many other people in this world. And if they do believe and the behavior as what the misinformation teach them to do, sometimes it could be extremely dangerous. So how about the youth in ASEAN countries? Do youth in ASEAN countries share misinformation? Actually, last year, UNESCO organized a student training on fake news in Thailand. And all of the students we invited at that time, they are college and university students. So we asked them like, how many of you have shared false information recently? And almost all of them said that they had, and most of them didn't verify the fact. So I believe the same situation happens on many of us. Of course, we share the information with no harm with our families and friends. We just click, read, and repost on our social media, especially when the news somehow can confirm our beliefs or bias on this issue. But young people like us are still at the age that we're forming our idea about people, a country, a religion, and the current situation by obtaining information from all the media platforms. We must be given the skills to critically navigate the news environment in our countries so we can get an accurate view of the world. That's why UNESCO believes media and information literacy education is really important to young people in the digital era. Every citizen has the equal rights to create, access, understand, and learn information. all forms of information are equal, but we must realize they are not always neutral or independent. The information could be false, distorted, or even invented. So MIL information is about teaching individuals how to become discerning media users with digital skills and also the abilities to smartly deal with the impact of the information to our minds. It is a lifelong process. So in our daily life, when we suddenly see a news on social media, what should we do? Like here, I'd like to share with you some practical tips. UNESCO launched the MIL Clicks program, and our key advice is think before sharing. We have an initiative called 30 seconds to click it out, which means that we should use 30 seconds to read the news, recover from our emotional reaction, understand the purpose of the message, examine the source, and review the message critically. And I also have some tips for stopping the spread of misinformation, is that we should get news from trusted sources, cross-check the facts, and often ask yourself or the person who shares the news to you, like, how do we know it's true? But please remember, do not send a rumor to your group chat. Currently in the ASEAN countries, there are many initiatives of fact-checking too. So here I also list some examples of the fact-checking tools in ASEAN countries. So some of them are the government-run programs, and some are media companies and news agencies. They were established to debunk and clarify false information, especially the news that has attracted a lot of public attention in this country. So in some cases, these websites may help you to double check the information that you obtained on the internet. And there are also some international initiatives covering the fact-checking scope of Southeast Asia. So for example, the International Fact-Checking Network. So this network supports the fact-checking initiatives and media specialists all over the world. And also an AFP Fact Check. This is part of Facebook's third-party fact-checking program. So the stories flagged on Facebook and rated false by fact-checkers will be downgraded in newsfeeds, so not a lot of people will see it. And of course, for the advice and information of COVID-19, we still suggest you to refer to the WHO website, because WHO will debunk false information and provides advice about COVID-19 for the public. And you can also report misinformation about COVID-19 to the hosting social media platform to their website. So everyone, I hope my presentation today will give you a little bit help on identifying and tackling misinformation in the future. The information disorder is a really serious problem in our society, which requires the efforts from all the stakeholders in the country. But for every citizen, ourselves, what we can do is that please always remember to think critically and click wisely. Thank you again for having me today.
Thank you, Rohan. That was very insightful. I liked what you said about teaching individuals to become users with discerning skills. That's something that we have to cultivate in ourselves from the early stages, especially in this digital age, right? And like you said, it's a lifelong process. So we all have to start somewhere, and never too late, I guess. So moving on, we are very happy to welcome back Mr. Lucien Teo from Google, our online safety education lead from Google APAC, that is. Mr. Lucien Teo, please, you have the floor now.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me fine? Yes, that's great. Okay, if you have on your screen like all the little small images, and I'm just one of them, if you can click on the little pin icon, if you mouse over my face, then I can show you my slides, because I'll just pop them behind me rather than kind of beam them all over. So if you can see the slides behind, that's how you want it to be set up. So thank you very much for having me again. I mean, today we'll talk about misinformation. We'll talk a little bit about scams as well. So my name is Lucian. I work here at Singapore. I've been stuck here for the last 9 months, like most of you are, like in your homes, and I just go out to get groceries, get food, and come back. And so this has been, I think, our lives, all our lives for quite a while now. But like I said, it's always good to see you face to face. I mean, it's so nice to be able to see people from all over Southeast Asia, and know that we're sharing a shared moment, right? That even though we can't meet online, this moment is ours. So I'll go straight into the presentation. We'll cover two things today. We'll cover a little bit on scams and phishing, which is misinformation that is targeted to take something from you. And then we'll talk about fake information, which Rohan has very well summarized a little bit, but I'll talk a little bit more about it in the second part of this slide deck. So I think it's been brought up that because of the pandemic, we're using the internet a lot more than ever before, right? I've spoken to so many parents, and before the pandemic, they always ask me, how many minutes should my child have on the digital device? And then they ask me, is 45 minutes enough? Is 1 hour like the maximum my child should have? Then once the pandemic started and everybody is at home, now parents are telling me, I don't know, I give up. I can't put a time limit anymore, because if I don't give my kids a device, I'll go crazy. I need to do my work and I need my child to just keep quiet, right? So even as an expert, I have a small child. I have a 7-year-old. My two older ones are fine. I mean, I've given up on them a long time ago, because as they grow older, they got more independence, right? So it's harder to set the rules. Even for my 7-year-old, when I talk about how much time we should have, it is stretched, it's extended. Everybody's using the internet more. And because everybody's using the internet more, we are seeing a rise in online scams as well. And a lot of people in Southeast Asia have come online for the first time, right? You're seeing a lot of people first time using the internet, because now they need to order food. Now they need to find out, how do I pay somebody? What do I do? A lot of the internet has become essential for daily living. And because of this as well, online scammers are working overtime on how to make money. And so we see this all over Southeast Asia. We actually see this all around the world. One thing I wanted to bring, this is quite a complex chart, right? Is that when people think about online crime, we used to think that it's always some guy sitting in a dark room somewhere trying to hack into a system, because that's what the action movies always show us. Hollywood always shows us that a hacker is always a person trying to crack into a system. What we realize is that today, scammers are more likely to use phishing than use malware. So last time the system was easier to crack, probably, but now security has become better. And now they're discovering that people are easier to crack than systems, which is why it's easier to trick somebody to give you their password than to try to hack into their account, right? So we're seeing this rise. You see the red color go up and the blue color go down. So scammers know even our online behavior. And Interpol came up with this. In COVID-19, we were seeing some scams. Let me make it bigger a little bit. Okay, can you see now? Yeah, so they were talking about the typical COVID-19 scams that were hitting people, right? You had the phone scams, people calling them and saying, oh, you have a parcel and it's stuck in customs. Have you guys received this call before? Like it's always, oh, your parcel is stuck in customs and you need to pay a little bit of money so we can send the parcel to you. It never used to be very effective, but today it's so effective because everybody has a parcel or something coming, right? So it's changed a lot. And then the second one, of course, is your normal phishing scams. They send you an email and they tell you that, oh, you need to give us your information because, oh, maybe your Amazon.com account has been compromised. You need to change your password, and they pretend. So what we have is we have a few case studies of these emails and what they're like and how they make you react. What I want you to pay attention is the emotion you have inside you, because this is how they prey on us. They ride on the emotions to make us do something we wouldn't otherwise do. Okay, so an example here is, so normally they pretend to be someone of authority. They'll say like, oh, that was great. Yeah, you need to pay me now. What happens in this case is sometimes the scammer is already in your email. They already broke into your email and they're waiting for a right time to attack. So if let's say you're taking a part-time job and an internship, right? And you email your boss constantly. So they begin to know who your boss's name is. They know the people around you. They've been reading your email for a while, and they normally wait till the right time. For example, like you're managing a payment to a vendor on behalf of your company, right? And they'll wait till that time, and then they'll send you an email with the name exactly the same as the person you're supposed to be talking to, telling you, oh, our payment gateway is down. Can you use this link instead? It's very urgent. You need to pay us now. Otherwise, we can't continue work. And what we realize is a lot of people, because when they see, oh, my project is now in danger of not being continued, I'll pay. Right? What they did not do is they did not check. Sometimes the name, you can only see the name of the sender. You can't see the email beside it. If you click on the arrow button, then you can see the email. And then you realize the email is totally different from the person you're supposed to be talking to. So this is one way they do it. The second way they normally do it is they kind of make us feel like we're going to lose something if we don't react fast. So an example would be like, oh, we're giving you a refund, right? You have, or maybe we have a sale. You have 2 hours before the sale ends. So hurry up, buy the thing now. And you go in there, and because you have so limited time, you don't check whether the website is the real site. It looks exactly like the real site. But you click, and then you put in your credit card details, or you send money via payment gateways, and before you know it, you send to the wrong person. So this happens quite a lot. And basically, they deal with this feeling of you're going to lose out if you don't react fast. And then the third one, and this happened a lot during COVID, they prey on your, like you want to help, right? So quite a number of fake charities were set up during this time to scam people, to send them money saying that, you know, we have so many people affected by COVID. Can you please send money so that we can buy masks? Oh, we're dying here. And because we want to help, good people normally go like, you feel emotionally attached to the message, and then you respond without checking whether or not the charity actually exists, whether they actually do good work, right? So these are the ways in which we're normally tricked, and how scammers kind of make us prey on our emotional state. So kind of coming back here, let me pull it up. When you receive an email, it's very important for you to check a few things. Always check the sender's email address. Make sure it's from the person you think it is, right? All this falls under misinformation because it's information that is false. They're pretending to be something they're not, right? And then whenever an email asks you to do something, there's an action required of you. This is when your spider sense, you need to be more wary, like be more careful, right? When they ask you update an account, they ask you to give them some personal information, they ask you to give them some money. These are the times where you go, I better double check to make sure this is the right person I'm talking to. And sometimes the scammers put links in their email. The links, the word to the link may look like, oh, go to my website now. When you click on it, actually it brings you to another website. You need to check where the link goes to. I'll give you an example right here. So this is an example of an email. It's a fake example, it's not a real one. But if you look carefully, let's say you use PayPal to buy things, right? Everything looks correct. There's the PayPal icon, the email looks legitimate. And then you read it and it asks you, oh, update your account information. So this is when I want you to double check. Whenever you see update account information, send money, do something. Anytime you need to do something, then double check. When you double check and you look at the email address above, right? Now the question is, does PayPal have a hyphen between it or not? Right? You need to ask yourself these things. Go to the website, check it out. Check out if you put a hyphen, is it the PayPal website or is not the PayPal website? So make sure that the address is correct. And then if you look below, what they have is a button. It looks like clicking on a button will solve all your problems. Always be aware because the button can be a hyperlink to do something else. So sometimes you mouse over, make sure that you can see the address pop up below your browser. Make sure it's going to a site that you know is authentic. All right? Okay. So all in all, phishing scams are basically this, right? They're an attempt for you to steal your personal information, to steal your money, to make you do something you wouldn't otherwise do. So you need to be very careful whenever you face something like this. So we just want to tell you that at Google, we're trying our very best, right? If you use Gmail, we block about 100 million phishing emails a day. The sad part about it is even we try our best to block, right? The scammers are really, really smart. right? They don't use the same email all the time. What we've noticed is they change their email, they'll tweak things. Once they find that Gmail is blocking it, they will tweak. And eventually some of them do get through, which is why I need to tell you, you need to be careful because you will face some of these emails that we're unable to block, right? There are 68%. Every day they change. It's not the same one, you know? So even from an automation point of view, it's difficult for Google to catch every single one. And this is the part that really hurts me because 45% of internet users don't even know what phishing is. They don't know that you can have a site that looks exactly like the website you want to go to, but it's not the site. Most of them will just go, but the logo is there. If the logo is there, it must be real. But I'm sure all of you here, you young people, you're savvy, right? You've made websites before. You can copy and paste a logo anywhere. You can make a website look like anything. So we need you to, number one, be careful. Number two, please tell the older generation, right? We know when it comes to misinformation, and this is true, a lot of the misinformation being shared comes from the older generation. I've always told people, you always have this WhatsApp group where people are sharing links to all the stuff that you know is false. And normally in this group is the extended family group. It's the one with your uncles, your aunts, your granduncle, your grandaunt, and they're always sharing stuff, right? And I don't know if you've done this before. So because I work in this line, I have an obligation to tell them, right? I'll go in there, oh, uncle, you know this link you sent? Yeah, I checked it, it's false, you know, and then I send him the real one. And then the next day, they'll send somebody else will send a new link, right? And then you fact check again and you come in again. And the next day again. After a while, my relatives told me, boy, can you please stop? It's just us having fun. We share these things. It's just bear with the rest of us. And I hope you can hear the audio. So let me pull this up. And always ask somebody, ask an expert. So very quickly, I'll go through the 3 steps. Number one, you always ask who wrote it, right? Is it an organization or a person who seeks facts or a person who's seeking attention? Because a lot of times people publish things to seek attention. They want more clicks, they want more views, they want you to share with your friends, and that's why they're writing it. So you need to check who is it and why? Why do they do this? Number two, how far away are you from the source? So I know today a lot of information is being shared on instant messaging, whether it's WhatsApp, Line, whatever you use, or Twitter. We share information through instant messaging a lot, right? So it's no longer a website. Sometimes it's just a line telling you, oh no, your house is flooded, you better run home now, or something like that, right? Sometimes they send a video embedded in the message. So the one thing I do ask my friends when they send a video, I always ask them, are you the one who took this video, or are you just sharing what you receive? Because if you're the one who took the video, at least I'm closer to the source. That means I know the person who took the video. If you told me, I don't know who did this, I just forwarding it on, no, most of the time I'm just going to discount it. It's probably not going to be very true. And the third one is important, and I wanted to highlight this. What makes you want to share this? Because this, when we use social media and when we use our instant messaging, a lot of what we share has the same emotions as what the scammers prey on. I don't know if you realize this. The scammers wanted to prey on certain emotions. Same thing with viral content. They make us emotional, they make us react, they make us do something if we knew we probably wouldn't do. But because we are reacting in the heat of the moment, we do that. Right? A lot of people ask me, Lucian, can you run a course, teach our young people how to tell if something is true online? Today's CGI is so good, computer graphics, right? They're so good, it's becoming harder and harder to tell what is real and what is not real. Right? We've always looked at, can we train the listener to find out whether what the person's speaking is true or not? And it's becoming harder because people are becoming very good at editing videos. They're becoming very good at photo editing, right? The misinformation out there is becoming very sophisticated. It's very hard. But today I want to talk to you, the speakers, the people who create content. So the question for you, how many of you, so for those of you on video, just put up your hand, right? If you have posted something on the internet in the last 24 hours, put up your hand. You've posted something on the internet, social media, Twitter, Instagram, a photo, not anything. So some of you in the last week, maybe, have you sent an instant message in the last 24 hours? Yes. So we do a lot of speaking to a lot of people, whether you know or not. And I wanted to talk to the speakers because it's important for us to know why we share some things. All right, example. You wake up in the morning, you pick up your phone, your best friend shares, oh, I just got up a bit and I made this beautiful breakfast, right? And they like to share photos of this. How does it make you feel? Just when you see this, the first reaction, feel free to type it in the chat. How does it make you feel? Envy. You feel scammed. Yeah, I feel the first thing is hungry. Right? It always makes me feel hungry. The worst thing is checking social media before you go to bed because you see, food, and then you go, I need to eat something. And then your diet plans go off. The thing is, most of us, after that, we feel envy. Like the person's life is so good. They always get to eat the best stuff. They always. And so I want you to think carefully about how you use social media, what you share. Because the things we share, sometimes we don't think very much. Right? We don't know, like, why would you share what you eat? Are you inviting people to come to your house to eat it with you? No, right? Basically, what is the purpose of the sharing? Was it to make people envious? Because if it is, then we need to rethink, like, do we really want to share this? Right? I'm saying this from personal experience because when I reflected on why I share a lot of things I do, then I realized I was making people feel bad. It wasn't intentional, but that was the outcome, right? People look at you and go like, wow, Lucian, you travel a lot for work. You get to go to all these wonderful places. This is before COVID, right? And I go like, but I just rush in, I go for the meeting, and then I go home. That's all I do. And then while walking to the meeting, I just take a photo. So my life isn't that good, but people go like, your life is so good. My life really sucks. I don't get to go anywhere. And then after a while, I realized that sharing this was not good for anybody. And then I reduced those things and I shared things that were more constructive. So for example, like if you want to share things like how to wear your mask properly, I think that's a useful use of social media, like for people who don't know. So there are two ways to do this, right? One is when you go outside on the street and you see somebody wear the mask wrong, right? And then you're wondering, oh yeah, you get angry and then you take a photo and then you post on social media saying these are horrible people. No, they're not doing it right. But that just makes people angry. What you want is you want to educate people. So when you want to educate people, sometimes you post something like this, how to do it properly. That means you're in the teaching mode. So it's important for us to understand what we're sharing, why we're sharing, what emotions we get out of it. I'm almost at the end. So I think for those of you watching time, don't worry, I will come in just nice, I think. So a lot of us, we think of activism, like when we see social issues, we just think if we click like, it shows our support. And if a lot of people show support, the social issue will go away, right? Before Google, I worked in the government for 10 years. I can tell you that the issues that we face are difficult. Clicking like, 10 million people clicking like doesn't solve anything. Nothing changes. You want real change, we go to the ground, right? We help. These are the people doing real change today. You have the nurses, you have the healthcare workers, you have the firefighters, you have the policemen, you have you and me. We can do real change, right? The other day I saw somebody. So in Singapore, it's mandatory to wear a mask everywhere you go. And then I was at the bus stop and I saw somebody without a mask, right? So first thing is you go like angry, right? You're like, this person purposely he doesn't want to wear a mask, right? Should I take a photo and post on social media to shame him? Then later on, no, my wife is a much better person than I am. She's like, hey, we have a spare mask. Why don't we offer him one? Right? And then we just took out our spare mask and go, oh, do you want a spare mask? And he goes like, thank you so much. I'm very far from my home and I realized I forgot to bring my mask. And now they won't let me on the bus because everybody that goes on the bus needs to wear a mask. And so I'm stuck at the bus stop. So thank you. I was wondering, I needed to walk all the way home. So these little acts of kindness that you do in real life make a difference to the next person. Maybe it's not to 10,000, 20,000, 1 million people like social media would, but you make a real change. So it's not just a number on a screen. So I know that you're the young leaders, right, that we look up to. You're the best people we brought together in Southeast Asia, and you're the future that we hope will be better than our generation. So I encourage you during this time, we're going to go through some tough times in the next few months, make life better for just the guy next door. Don't worry about whether you go viral. Just do it for the person next door. So that's the end of my presentation. So thank you very much. I mean, I hope this was useful for you. I know the tips, most of you already know, but bring this to people like my parents. If you can tell my parents, you'll save me a lot of work, right? Okay, so any questions that you may have? So let's go through that.
Hi, Lucian. I think we will go, dive into the question and answer segment, as you said. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just moderate that a little bit. So I think that was very wholesome, like your presentation. I was listening very closely as well because I think we're all victims here in some or rather culprits, on the other hand. So yeah, let me just go through some of the questions because just a little reminder, we only have 15 minutes. So yeah, let me just get to Rohan. There is a question I think that is kind of perfect for you. So where one of the participants asked about proper punishments, and I want to rephrase punishments a little bit. Maybe some kind of response, proper procedures that we can take for people who kind of create and spread this kind of fake news, especially in this pandemic. So I think this participant particularly is asking about what kind of reaction should we be able to exhibit in a way, do we stay silent or how exactly do we react? Do we target this person? What exactly can we do? So Rohan, please.
Yes, so first, for the punishment, actually every country has their policy. So if we can track to the primary source of the fake news, especially for the fake news, which has attracted a lot of public interest in this country, if we can track to the primary source, then the punishment will be made by the policymakers of this country. But for UNESCO, actually, we are not policymakers. But we publish policy guidelines for the Ministry of Education of every country, and also for the media platforms to encourage them to track and debunk the fake news, and also to include the curriculum of media and information literacy into the educational institutions, so it can help young people to have more critical thinking on when they face the fake news. Thank you. So I hope this solve your problem.
Yes, thank you, Rohan. I think what I got from that actually is just there are a lot of stakeholders involved. It's not just the user of the internet, but also on the other side of the coin. Yeah, thank you for that. Now for Lucian, I think I have a personal question to direct to you. You talked a lot about having this spider sense, and the question of what is real research anyway? All of us have there's just so much information, it's a whole barrage, sometimes it's very overwhelming. And then you talked about having to sort of control our emotional reactions to such things. And of course, Rohan mentioned that takes training. It's a lifetime process, but how do you exactly target that? And my question is, what is real research and how do you train that,
So normally I try to simplify it for people. So there are things that we read and then we go is this real? But to kind of research everything we read would take up, I think, too much time, right? So I always talk about when you're going to act, then research, right? I'm not saying don't check everything you read. If you could do that, do that. But whenever you're going to take an action, when you're going to pay for something, when you're going to give information, when you're going to share something, that's when you want to double check to make sure everything is right. So that's how I'm kind of making it simpler so that we don't end up fact checking every single piece of information we receive, but we fact check the ones that we are going to act on. That's the first step. So that's how I'd kind of phrase it.
Yeah, okay, that's very helpful. And like as a follow-up to that question, I noticed there is one question from Reggie Santos, if I'm not wrong. So this person is asking, are there any countermeasure techniques to prevent this kind of social engineering attacks? And does Google have any available programs for this kind of cybersecurity education?
So social engineering attacks, there are multiple kinds, right? So you have things like from the normal email, please send me money, to more specific targeted attacks. And I think countermeasures, the best countermeasure is the human mind, like being careful. So social engineering, normally they're targeting us to do something that is out of the ordinary. So I'll give you an example. One of the simplest social engineering attacks is me just leaving a thumb drive on your desk, right? There's a 99% chance you're going to put it in your computer. I don't need to do anything at all. But now that I told you this, the next time you see a thumb drive on your desk, you're going to think twice. So I think education is probably the largest countermeasure we need right now. Because like I said, 46% of people don't even know what phishing is. And so we're trying to get out there to tell people about it, so at least they're a little bit more wary and more careful, and they know how they can be attacked. So there isn't one specific countermeasure. There is just that pause before you do something, and then you think whether or not you should do it. And that is the best countermeasure for any kind of social engineering attack I've seen.
Yeah, I'm taking notes in my head as you say these things. It's very helpful. Okay. Yeah, back to Rohan. There's a question, I think, for you as well here. Can you share the impact of misconceptions, that is misinformation, on the knowledge, attitudes, and like practices of people? So in like the larger societal attitudes, you know, what is the impact?
So I think first of all, if we read, sorry, may you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure, no worries. This person is asking, can you share the impact of misconceptions and just like misinformation in general on the knowledge and attitudes of society?
Um, Actually, for the young people, if they read the misinformation and disinformation, because they are still at the age of forming their ideas about people, about a country, a religion, for example, like the current situation of COVID-19, by accepting the information from all the social media. So if they read the misinformation and disinformation like every day, every time, they make a misunderstanding towards the people, and they it may incite the harassment and the hate speech towards each other, I think. Yeah.
If I can just jump in, right? I think sometimes we like to divide, like young people are vulnerable, but we find out that older people are equally or more vulnerable sometimes. Right, so it's not so much an age thing. I think it just happens that this research was done for a certain age group. Right, but one thing I wanted to tell and I wanted to share with you, young people somehow know how to protect themselves. It's quite interesting. What we noticed was on social media, a lot of you went on Facebook many years ago when Facebook first started, right? And you were underage, like you couldn't because you were too young. And so you fake your age, right? So I know a lot of young people, they were 101 years old on Facebook, and they just pretend like all our family members and all that. And what we discovered was, while as adults we went, like, oh, how could you lie? What we did not realize was them faking all these things protected them from predators, because predators were searching for young people on Facebook or on social media in general, right? And what happened was, because the young people were faking their ages, faking who they were harder to track and kind of groom online. So there's a kind of an interesting way that young people protect themselves. Yeah.
I think that's also probably because there is more digital literacy among the younger population, perhaps, you know, and we're more like sponges, like we absorb and then we have to like generate our own filters at the same time. So yeah, perhaps that's a valid perspective. And also following that, Lucian, I just want to write on what you said a little bit. So John Paul Estal from the Philippines said that there is a subject in media and information literacy. But there is a problem because fake news is ever changing. Like you said, you know, the perpetrators can be just like anyone. It doesn't have to be hackers per se. So can Google or like any social media platform, you know, do something about mitigating that news? Yeah.
So at Google, we're looking at this from a very big ecosystem point of view, right? First of all, we're looking at which institutions are the ones that have traditionally been trusted to provide us truth. And we notice that these are the news institutions, right? Your newsmakers. And so what we've been doing in Google is we've been trying to equip them, make them more effective so that the articles that are true and verified by journalists, right, to a journalistic code we try to make that more visible in Google News and Google Search. So those are things that we try to do to make sure that the real news gets up there. Right. The other thing that I do is I go to schools to make sure that these the basic level of training is put into education systems around the world. So it's twofold. One is we make the truth more visible, and second, we help the people point them towards seek out these institutions that are verified, that provide us good, solid information, and then we counterbalance that with the other types of information out there.
Yeah, and just perhaps we only have time for one last question, but I think this is like on everyone's mind to some extent. A question from Shamime about how to recognize the inherent bias of, let's say, social media algorithms, you know, like how do you dispel like the stereotype that perhaps a lot of people are sharing it? Must it be true? You know, how do you differentiate that? So perhaps Rohan can go first and then Lucian. Yeah.
Yes, I think just like Mr. Lucian said just now, like first we need to find the primary source of the news. And we can double check the source of news from multiple trusted news sources in your country and evaluate the purpose of releasing this news by yourself.
On my end, I mean, I would ask you to think carefully about what emotion it elicits in you, how it affects you, right? And this could be like your friend's breakfast pictures. Sometimes it affects us in a very bad way. And you need to learn to walk away from the things that affect you badly, but also double check, like always check what does that information do to me. So when you're talking about like misinformation and all that, a lot of it drives emotion towards action. Before you take the action, check all the facts to make sure they're true. So totally correct. Go to the source, find out. And if you want to be involved in a real tangible way and not just online. So it helps to meet the people who are doing the real work. So right here in ASEAN Foundation, you already have people who are working in different communities to make lives better for communities around Southeast Asia. Be involved in those things. When you know the issues on the ground, it helps balance out what you see online. Because now you're involved in it, you're invested in it, you put your time and effort, and you know people who are with you working the same thing. Yeah, it's a lot different from just reading stuff on the internet.
Thank you, Lucian. Thank you both Rohan and Lucian for your very holistic presentations. That was very helpful, even for me. I think what we can all gather from this is, like Lucian said, the spider sense, and also what Rohan said about discerning skills that we all have to cultivate in ourselves. That's two key points that I think we can take away from these presentations. So thank you both speakers again. I will hand the floor back now to Phong.
I have just one last point. Is don't believe everything you see, right? So I've had people tell me your house is beautiful, the balcony is so nice, and then they realize that I don't actually live here or here. Right, so this back to the misinformation thing. Don't believe everything. It's just a green screen. I'm seated in a small room. Right at the back is my bathroom. Don't worry about getting too envious about anything. Yeah, So it's not what it seems. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Hussein, for that.
Thank you so much to Ms. Jang and to Mr. Teo for your insights. Thank you, Ms. Teshman, for moderating this session. Now, let's take a quiz to see how much you have learned today. And please don't feel stressed. It is a very casual and fun quiz. So, on the upper right corner of your screen, you will see 3 signs: a people sign, a text sign, and a geometry sign. Please click on the geometry sign. As you do so, you will see breakdown rooms, pause, and Q&A. Please click on pause. I will give you some time to do so. Once again, please click on the geometry sign and then click on pause. There are in total 8 questions on the topic of misinformation and phishing for you to answer, and you will have 30 seconds to answer each question. Is everyone ready? Now, let the games begin. Let the games begin. And then first question, what does the red color on the ASEAN emblem symbolize? Is it purity? Is it courage? Is it prosperity? Or is it stability? You have 30 seconds. And time's almost up. All right, so most of you, I can see here, most of you choose courage, and that is the right answer. Okay, good job, everybody. Now let's move on to the second question. What does ASEAN stand for? Is it the Association of Southeast ASEAN Nations? Is it the Association of Southeast ASEAN Nation? Is it the Association of Southeast Asian Nations? Or is it just the Association of Southeast Asian Nation? Time's ticking, guys. I can see you're very active on the chat box. Sharing is caring. Okay, time's up and good job. I see that most of you selected the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is the right answer. Okay, good job, everybody. Now let's move on to the third question. Okay, the next question is, which word means convincing or believable based on evidence? Is it hoax? Is it prolific? Is it credible? Or is it impressionable? This is a little test for our vocabulary ability. Okay, time's almost up. Let's see what you have chosen. Okay, so wow, most of you got the right answer. It is credible. So yes, unfortunately, the other 3 are very far from it. Okay, please continue with the fourth question. Okay, so our fourth question is, oh, this is a very difficult one. When is the ASEAN Day? Is it the 8th of August, 8th of September, 8th of November, or is it the 8th of December? Well, this is a very difficult question. Okay, so most of you guys chose the 8th of August, and congratulations, that is the right answer. And unfortunately, that is not the 8th of September. You guys did a very great job so far, and now let's move on to the 5th question. Okay, and thank you to Mr. Teo for helping us with the game. Now, the 5th question is, which one is not the capital city of the ASEAN member states? Is it Jakarta, is it Kuala Lumpur, is it Phnom Penh, or is it Delhi? Oh, now we're testing your geography ability. Okay, and great job, everybody. I see that almost everyone voted for Delhi, which is the right answer. And unfortunately, Jakarta is definitely a capital city. Okay, next, let's move on to the 6th question. Which one is included as fake news? Is it lie? Is it hoax? Is it conspiracy? Or is it all of the above? So we're testing what you have just learned. It's really impressive that you guys are very active on the chat box. Okay, and I can see that most choose all of the above. And once again, congratulations, that is the right answer. Okay, next, we only have 2 more to go. Let's take a look at our 7th question. Below identifies and defines types of information except satire, false context, news article, and manipulated content. This is a rather difficult question. Okay, and the results are in. I can see that most of you go for news article, and congratulations, that is the right answer. So unfortunately, satire, false context, and manipulated content are the types of misinformation. And next, let's take a look at our final question. Which one of the following is the factor that causes misinformation? Is it misrepresentation? Is it information literacy? Is it repetitive communication, or is it lack of interest?
Anybody on the chat wants to try?
Okay, and time's ticking. Let's see the results. Wow, I can see that this question has received a lot of divided opinions, and I can see that misrepresentation is the one that you guys voted for most. But unfortunately, the right answer to this question is actually information literacy. And so I would like for you to take away from this webinar today is that we always have to continually work on the education of our information literacy. Okay, and that is the end of our polls quiz. And thank you so much for participating, and I hope that everyone had fun revising what you've learned. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's webinar. Please allow us to extend our deepest appreciation to everyone for giving us our undivided attention. An e-certificate will be provided to all participants. Please check the link that we share in the chat box and kindly fill out the survey questions. The e-certificate will be sent to you via email. We would also like to express our sincerest gratitude for the enormous support we received from our partners for making this webinar a success. Finally, we would like to thank our attendees via Google Meet and YouTube for your engagement in this webinar. If you would like to watch this webinar again, don't worry, since it's available on our Facebook page. And although it is unfortunate that we have to part ways now, please keep in mind that the third webinar, titled Privacy, Secure Your Secrets, is coming next month on January 21st. We'll really hope to see everyone again. Until then, please stay safe and have a great day. Thank you and goodbye.